what do you have to say to people who say, oh, maybe he can't make it because he's only 6 feet tall?
Well, I probably say this. I mean, I can understand, the point of view because you definitely want to like size at that position, but at the end of the day, you gotta look at the film.
Welcome to another episode of Preferred Walk On. I'm your host, Max Chadwick. We've got another interview for you guys today. If you haven't already, check out the series of interviews that I've done so far. And next up is Jeremiah Trotter Jr., the linebacker from Clemson, who I consider to be the best linebacker in college football heading into next season. And it runs in his blood. His dad is Jeremiah Trotter Sr., former All-Pro linebacker and Philadelphia Eagles Hall of Famer, and his son was a third-team All-American this past season, and like I said before, my number one returning linebacker in college football, and also he was a top 10 pick in my way too early 2024 NFL mock draft. So go check out that video if you haven't already, and as always, check out the feature article I did on Jeremiah Trotter Jr. over at pff.com, and of course, major thank you to the executive producer of the show, also the head of creative content and communications at PFF, Dave Sofaro, who sets up every single one of these interviews, and we still have more superstars coming down the pipeline as well. But without further ado, here he is, Clemson linebacker Jeremiah Trotter Jr. So first question, man, I wanted to ask you. So linebacker really runs in your blood. Your dad, Jeremiah Sr., Eagles Hall of Famer, former All-Pro linebacker. What was it like learning from your dad? And did you ever kind of feel any pressure being the son of a legend like that?
Well, I'll start off with, that first part of the question is learning from my dad. I mean, it's definitely an experience that is I really enjoyed just because of all the knowledge that he's gained throughout his career in NFL, college, and just like all the great minds that poured into him, and that he was able to pour out onto me. I really experienced, and it's just something that I feel like really helped me become the linebacker that I am, and everybody sees on the field. So I give a huge credit to him.
So you went to St. Joe's Prep in Philly, which is a powerhouse. You played with a couple superstars there too, Marvin Harrison Jr. and it looks like Ohio State's next quarterback in Kyle McCord too. Just how special are both of those guys, especially Marvin, and what was it like playing with those two guys?
Definitely. I mean, those guys are very special guys. I mean, not just on the field, but off the field, the way that they work and they carry themselves in academics, and just like they try to live in excellence in all areas of their life. And I feel like that plays a big part of why they succeed on the field. And as you guys seen, with Marvin, he's really made a name for himself in college football, and he's really just shine bright. He does what he does, and I'm expecting a big year out of Kyle too, make a name for himself. I know the type of player he is. Just watching them both, um, as high school teammates, and I know that they already have that connection with quarterback and wide receiver, that connection that you need, and I can't wait to see what they do out there on the field this year.
Absolutely, man. So you were not only, did they have a couple superstars there, you were also a superstar yourself in high school. You were a five-star recruit coming out. What made you decide on Clemson as your next home?
When I went to their camp, I think it was my sophomore or junior year. I put on some size. I was around like 210, 205, around there. And all they wanted to see is, just how I moved and to see how I played the game of football at that camp, and they really liked it. They ended up offering me a scholarship, and that was like one of the first schools that didn't make their impression off like how big I was at the time. They wanted to base it off of how I played the game, and I really appreciated them for that. And the coaches, I mean, they all just the atmosphere that they is at Clemson, just all played a part in me making my decision. So I ended up committing there.
Absolutely, man. So I recently ranked you as the best linebacker in the country heading into next season. Do you feel like that? Yeah, I am the best linebacker in college football.
Well, I really appreciate that ranking. It's definitely a blessing for me. I'm not one of those guys that is uh lets those rankings get into my head too much, because I sure don't want to stop doing what I did do to get to that point. But I really think those rankings are a blessing. And I mean, of course, in my mind, I'm the best around. But I know everybody is going to say that about themselves, if they have like the right confidence about themselves. But I just thank God, for being able to be ranked that high, and I just know that the work I've been putting in is paying off, and I just got to keep my head down and keep working.
I love that mindset, man. Well, listen, not only do I think you're the best linebacker in college football, I think Clemson is the best linebacker duo in college football because you and Barrett Carter, who I think is an absolute superstar too. I know you guys kind of host a podcast together called Crash
Right.
Course. What's
Yeah.
your relationship like with Barrett, and what do you think makes him so special?
No, yeah, Bear's my guy. I mean, we got a really close relationship. I think our personalities are pretty much similar in a lot of ways. So like that connection is there. We're both college roommates, so we spend a lot of time around each other, and I just builds that connection that I feel like is shows out on the field when we're playing. Is being able to talk back and forth, communicate back and forth with each other. If we have to make any adjustments or we see anything, but the type of player that he is, I feel like it's very versatile. He can do whatever he needs to do on the field. It was stopping the run, blitz, cover. And I feel like that's what you want out of your linebackers, a linebacker that you don't have to worry about or you have to protect because you have confidence in that he'll be able to do whatever you want him to do in your scheme.
Absolutely, dude. So you mentioned before how I think you're the best linebacker in college football. Me and a lot of other people also think you're going to be a pretty high draft pick in 2024 if you decide to leave Clemson. Are you already kind of getting excited about the potential of joining the NFL pretty soon and making it to the league?
Definitely, definitely exciting when you think about it, but I try not to dwell on it because I know that's a long ways away. So like I mentioned before, I just try to make sure I keep my head down and focus on what Coach Sweeney always talks about, focus on the now, being in the moment and taking it one day at a time. And I mean, before I know it, I know that that time will be here because I mean, it feels like almost yesterday that I came into college mid-year and was a freshman. So I know that time will come up fast. I just got do what I've been doing, just keep my head down, take it day by day, and just keep working.
So what do you think sets you apart from other linebackers around college football?
I think for my game it would be just being very versatile, like I mentioned about Barrett, being able to. I don't feel like I really have a major weakness in my game as far as like if you need me to cover a running back or cover a tight end, I feel like I can do that. If you want to blitz me, I can blitz. And if you need a run stopper, somebody that's physical in the run game, taking on linemen and getting off blocks, I feel like I can do that. And I just try to make sure I watch my critique myself strongly though too. Try to improve upon those areas and be more technical, but I feel like that's a part of my game that really separates me from a lot of linebackers.
So I just mentioned that before. I was going to say like as a linebacker, you got to do everything on defense. You
Yeah.
got to run defend, you got to pass rush, you got to be in coverage as well. Do you kind of
Mm.
pride yourself on being such a do-it-all player? And is there a specific part of the game that you enjoy most, whether that be run defending, pass rushing, or in coverage?
Yeah, I definitely think that is something that's critical or very crucial for a linebacker in today's game. You got to be able to do those things
Mm-hmm.
because at the next level, that's basically what it is, playing out in space, making overfield tackles, getting off those big linemen that are in the NFL, and then also being able to cover when on those third downs when your team is like, okay, we got to send pressure and we got to play man to man. So you got to be able to do all those things, and if you can do all those things and stay on the field, that is going to allow you to get more opportunities at the next level. And I really feel like that is very, very crucial for a linebacker.
Absolutely, man. So maybe besides your dad, are there any linebackers that you love watching that played in the NFL, and who do you think you compare your game most to in the NFL right now?
In today's game, I say one of the past linebackers that I look at because of his game and physicality, and it's the way that he leads is Ray Lewis. That's
Mm-hmm.
one of the guys that I watch like documentaries on or I've seen like highlights and film of him just because the way he plays the game and the way people talk about him. He's not the biggest, strongest, fastest, but he always seemed to make plays, and he didn't just make plays, but he also like talked to his guys and brought guys along with him as a leadership. But one of the linebackers in today's game I really like is Darius Leonard
Mm-hmm.
for the fact that I feel like he's a do-it-all linebacker, but also he's a playmaker. He gets the ball back for his team. He's always trying to get at that ball, and I feel like that's a part of my game I want to get better at. Creating those turnovers because I mean those if you can get your offense on the field more times than the other team's offense, then you got a higher chance of winning games.
So, what are your goals, both individually and for the Clemson Tigers next season?
Well, for my goals, I mean, they're pretty simple. For me, it's just making the most of the opportunities I get to help out my team whenever I get on the field, making sure, I'm really locked in, studying, and hopefully in the end, if I'm doing my part and also trying to lead my guys around me, we win a national championship.
Love that, man. So imagine I'm an NFL general manager, or even just a fan that comes up to you and says, "All right, Jeremiah, show me, who you are in one play. What is the one play in your career so far that you would point to and say that probably shows what I am the most?" For me, I'd probably say the South Carolina pick six that you had. But what's the play that you would point to as your best play of your career?
For me, I'd probably say it's maybe not a big flashy play, but it would be that fourth down against Miami. Is fourth down. They got 1 yard. It's me and the running back in the hole, and I can't go backwards. If I go backwards, then they get a first down. So as a linebacker, I feel like that's one of the plays I pride myself on because that's just you and the running back in the hole, Oklahoma drill. Who's going to win type of play, and that's what you want to see out of your linebacker. So I'll probably say that play.
And I think I showed like that your size won't preclude you from still being an elite linebacker. So that was the next question I was going to ask you is that you're shorter than a lot of the top linebackers in today's game, but yet here you are as the best linebacker in the country. What do you have to say to people who say, "Oh, maybe he can't make it because he's only 6 feet tall"?
Well, I probably say this. I mean, I can understand, the point of view because you definitely want to like size at that position, but at the end of the day, you gotta look at the film. I know people in this year's draft, they were doubting Bryce Young on his size. But I mean, when you look on the field and like looked at his whole college career, I mean, he was as dominant. He had pieces around him, but there's some quarterbacks that have pieces around him and not dominate like the way he did. And sometimes, I mean, you can't just look at only numbers. You got to look at the film and see, what they do in the game of football.
Absolutely, man. So you mentioned Bryce Young is going to be a rookie this upcoming year. You also had a couple teammates that are taken pretty highly in the draft in Miles Murphy and Trenton Simpson, who was in your linebacker room. What are your expectations like for both Murphy and Simpson? And what was your relationship like with the two of them?
My expectations for all those guys is very high because I know the type of players that are bred at Clemson as far as not just on the field but off the field and their mindset and personality, the type of work that they put in. So I know they're going to do great this upcoming year. And I was close with all those guys. I was real cool with all those guys. Trent especially because I mean we both play linebacker. And yeah, Trent, I can't wait to see what he does. That's really one of my guys, at the linebacking core. And I know he's going to do great. I know he's coming in with the right mindset. He's going to be a student of the game, and he's going to be doing what he needs to do off the field too.
I
So
love that, man. So what are you working on the most this offseason?
for me, I'm really working on the technical side of my game. I think my dad really poured into me all the knowledge I needed to know about how to play the linebacker position, but there's a lot of small stuff that you can get better at as far as um, pass rushing, how to use your hands, how to use your hands to get off linemen, and I can definitely get more technical so I can do that all the time and not just be doing it uh, a small amount of the time because when you are being a student of the game, you got to be very technical, and all the great players they make the good plays all the time and the great plays most of the time is how I try to think about it.
So Dabo Sweeney obviously is one of the best coaches in college football. What is your relationship like with Coach Sweeney?
Oh yeah, I'm really cool with Coach Sweeney. I mean, he's a great guy. He's a great coach. He really knows how to talk to the players and encourage them. And I think he does a good job of knowing when to ease up on you and knowing when to get on you when you need it when you need a kick in the butt. So I really appreciate him for that. And I think he's one of the top college coaches in college football.
Absolutely, man. So are there any players or teams that you're most excited to play this upcoming season?
Really, I don't have a favorite or a team that I'm really looking at to play. I'm really looking forward to playing all the teams because I feel like every single team brings an aspect to the game that can really challenge you. And I'm really looking forward to just playing all the competitors and just going out there and competing.
I love that, man. So last question I want to ask you, not only are you continuing the legacy for your dad, but your younger brother Josiah is continuing that
Mhm.
legacy too. He's a freshman linebacker now at West Virginia. I saw Clemson offered him, man. I'm surprised that you didn't try to convince him to come play with you at Clemson, but what should we be expecting from Josiah as he begins his collegiate career?
I mean, you should expect, the same thing that, I mean, you've been seeing from me, I feel like, because he's definitely his own player. He has his own different play style that differs from me. And I feel like he's I mean, just like me, he's been learning from my dad since a young age. So he's had that coaching and he has that same work ethic that you need to be successful. So I'm really looking forward to see, how he does during his college career. He's actually bigger than me, so he's gonna have some more size on him. I think he's around like 6'1", 6'2", 232, something like that. So he's definitely got that size that you need at the linebacker position.
Dude, if he's anything like you, man, the Mountaineers just got an absolute superstar. So I really appreciate the time, Jeremiah. This is an awesome interview, man. We're super excited to see what you and Clemson have in store this year, man. So I really appreciate it.
I appreciate it. Thank you.